Hello and welcome. My name is Ilva Tare and I'm a non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's Europe Center. This is Balkans Debrief. The latest Serbia-Kosovo talks in Brussels seem to have yielded a cautious breakthrough, an agreement on the EU-brokered peace plan for normalization between the two countries, which could potentially pave the way for the resolution of this unfinished conflict. To discuss the summit, the EU plan, and the path forward in the negotiations, much will depend exactly in the negotiations for the implementation of this plan. My guest today is the EU Special Representative for Belgrade and Pristina Dialogue, Miroslav Lajčák. Miro, welcome to the show.
Hello, and thank you for the invitation.
What is your takeaway from the February 27th meeting in Brussels between President Vučić and the Prime Minister of Kosovo, Kurti?
Well, it was actually a good meeting. The discussion between the two leaders was very open, honest, emotional at times, but very respectful. And it was a discussion between two statesmen. So it was very interesting to watch and to follow. They disagree on many things, but as I said, the discussion was a really good one. The most important outcome of the meeting, as you know, was the agreement that no further discussions on the text of the European Union proposal are needed, so that the text is now officially closed. And we started our discussion on the implementation annex, which is a separate paper, but constitutes inseparable part of the agreement. And this is what will make the agreement implementable. The discussion was not easy, and lots of work remains to be done. So I would say that the last mile is always the most important and most sensitive, and this is what is ahead of us.
Was it supposed to have a signing ceremony and one of the parties did not agree? At least that's what Prime Minister of Kosovo said, Kurti, for the Serbian president.
It's true that Prime Minister Kurti proposed that this agreement on the document should be also formalized by signing. Our reaction, the European Union reaction, was that it would be premature because the fact is that this agreement, which is not a small thing, but without the agreement on implementing, is still more a political declaration rather than a legally binding agreement. And therefore we said, let's wait with signing until we have a full understanding and full agreement about how are we going to implement.
I saw you started the meetings already to start the phase of negotiations for the implementation. But also we had another reaction for the Prime Minister of Kosovo yesterday, saying that Serbia's president vowed a night prior to oppose Kosovo's membership in the UN, which would constitute a clear breach of Article 4 of the EU proposal. What does this mean for the negotiation, in your view?
Well, we asked both leaders to be restrained and prudent in their public communication because this is a very sensitive moment. And we, of course, want to make sure that the atmosphere for the 18th of March next high-level meeting will be constructive and helpful. I can say that this was not raised in the meeting on Monday, and I certainly don't want to comment on what the leaders have said after the meeting, because that's not my job, my responsibility. But my responsibility is to prepare for the next meeting on the 18th. And with this purpose, I will be traveling to Pristina and to Belgrade soon.
What's your expectation for the meeting end of March? What should the parties agree on that meeting?
Well, our ambition is to agree on the implementation roadmap. And with this in mind, we asked both parties to prepare their, I would say, realistic and constructive proposals based on our text, which I shared with both leaders back in December. And this is exactly what I expect to discuss with both Prime Minister Kurti and President Vučić when I'm in Pristina and Belgrade. So it's really important that before the meeting or by the time of the meeting of the 18th, we know what are the expectations of the parties when it comes to the implementation. And on this basis, we can agree on a document that will reflect their positions. I will reveal no secret when I say that, of course, the level of trust is rather low, and therefore the leaders want to have guarantees that when they deliver what they are asked to deliver, they will also receive what they are promised to receive. That's normal, that's logical, again, given the high sensitivity and importance of these issues.
There has been another debate in the region these days after the meeting in Brussels, like what is the aim of this agreement? Is it the normalization of relations between two countries, or is the mutual recognition? If this is the normalization, doesn't that entail that this is mutual recognition as well? What is your read of this?
Well, the text of the agreement was made public, so anyone can read it and see what exactly is in it. And if adopted and agreed on the implementation, it would definitely introduce a normalization, not only in relations between Kosovo and Serbia, but also for the wider region.
Will the roadmap of the annexes, the implementation, will it be also public? Will it be known to the public, or not at this stage?
Absolutely. Every agreement that we have achieved in the process of dialogue since my appointment 3 years ago was published. So we have no reason or no intention to keep anything secret. I believe that public control, I would say, is also an important element of making sure that what was agreed will be implemented.
The implementation of the Association of Serb Municipalities has emerged as a stumbling block. Kosovo agreed, we know, 10 years ago, and then we had the constitutional decision for some parts of it. And now we have this agreement that this ASM is part of it, I believe. The Kosovo negotiator also said that the ASM will have a status of an NGO. What is your understanding of this? What powers will this Serb governance body have?
Well, first of all, let's start with the facts, namely that the establishment of the association or community of Serb majority municipalities is part of the Brussels agreement that was reached and signed by Kosovo and Serbia back in 2013. And it was also ratified by the Kosovo parliament. So that means it is an international legal obligation for Kosovo. So it's not something that has been invented yesterday or last year. It's something that has been here for almost 10 years. And therefore it has to be implemented because the principle pacta sunt servanda applies to everything. And we also repeat in every document and every statement that all past agreements must be implemented by both parties. This one has become or has gotten high prominence and is being discussed a lot in the public. I would wish to see less public discussion and more discussion in the framework of the dialogue, because this is where the parameters of the association must be defined. I hear lots of statements of what it should be, what it should not be. My answer to this is that it will be for Kosovo and Serbia to agree what it will be, what it will not be. We should not be afraid of something that has not been yet put on the agenda. In the dialogue process, Kosovo and Serbia are equal parties, so neither party can impose its will on the other party against the will of that party. And we see our role as the European Union not only as a facilitator, but also as a guarantor of the fact that whatever will be agreed will meet European standards. And that's why we are also speaking with our partners about existing European models, which are strengthening the functionality of European countries rather than weakening, and therefore we believe there is no reason to be afraid it's in no one's interest to weaken functionality of Kosovo. We should look at this association not as a threat or a punishment or a concession. It's a legal obligation on one hand, but also it should be seen as an opportunity for building a trusted relationship between Kosovo Serbs and the government of Kosovo, and also for defining in a very transparent manner the relationship between government of Serbia and Serbs living in Kosovo in a transparent manner and in accordance with, again, best European models and standards.
Mr. Lajčák, you said that you are looking at European models on the ASM, but critics have also said that the ASM is an un-European approach to solving the problem of minority rights. Do they have a point, do you think?
No, they don't. First of all, the agreement of 2013 was signed and ratified in Kosovo Parliament. There is also an agreement in 2015, which was challenged at the Constitutional Court. The Constitutional Court said it has to be done while taking into account the findings of this Constitutional Court. Second, the parameters will have to be defined, or the the details will have to be defined in the process of the dialogue, and we are here to make sure that we will end up with a European process. But in general, the protection of national minorities, good practice of local self-governments, these are European standards. This is part of also the benchmarks one has to meet when applies for joining the European Union. And as I already said, there are so many good functioning European models that one should see them as an inspiration, and there is absolutely no reason for Kosovo or for Serbia to avoid this discussion or to be afraid of this.
Any model you are looking specifically into from the European models?
Of course, together with my team, we have looked into existing models, and I can tell you that here on my desk I have 16 really existing and functioning European models. I'm not going to list them. I don't want to look like as if I'm leaning in favor of one or the other, but there are some common principles on which these models are built. We are sharing this, of course, discussion with our partners and parties, and it's for them to decide to what extent they will be inspired by one or the other model. We don't want to create anything that would make the Kosovo system less functional. We don't want to create anything that has never been created or never been tested in real life in European countries. Because don't forget that our role and the purpose of this EU facilitated dialogue is to bring Kosovo and Serbia closer to the European Union.
Are you concerned that the creation of the ASM in Kosovo will lead to similar requests by Albanians living in Preševa Valley, or lately we heard from Albanians living in North Macedonia?
Well, first and foremost, the respect and protection of the rights of national minorities is a European value. And of course, the rights of Albanian community in the Balkans, same as right of other communities in other countries, is a very important principle of good relations, and of course very important factor in progressing on the European path. That's point number one. Point number two is that Serbia and North Macedonia are members of Council of Europe, and they have ratified number of relevant international instruments and frameworks, such as the Framework Convention for the Protection of National Minorities, or the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, or International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, or the European Charter on Regional and Minority Languages. So these are the framework that define their responsibilities with regard to national minorities, and they are also responsible to these organizations. In case of North Macedonia, of course, we have the Ohrid Framework Agreement, which in a very detailed way defines the position of the Albanian community in North Macedonia. So you have all these existing solutions, while in case of association/community of Serbian majority municipalities in Kosovo, this is an existing obligation. So therefore, it's a different situation, and as I said, it has to be implemented. There is no similar commitment from the past dialogue agreements that would require to Serbia or to North Macedonia to address this issue. Moreover, but as I said, this issue is monitored by relevant international organizations.
Let's go back to your difficult task of negotiating after this EU proposal was accepted by both parties. What are the next big stumbling blocks in your view?
Well, as I said, what we need to agree on is how to implement this agreement. This agreement is a big thing, and the fact that the two parties agreed to it is already an achievement. But we have to make sure that this achievement will not slide back, but rather will be turned into a real life and will bring normalization of their relations. As I already said, that the level of mutual trust is rather low, and that's why it's clear that both parties indicate that they want this document on implementation to be detailed and to have very clear modalities and steps and sequences and deadlines, because obviously they want to avoid the situation that they will do their part, but they will not, the other party will not, and when they do what they are asked to do, they will not get what they are promised to get. So that's logical, and I of course, don't expect the discussion on all these modalities and sequences to be easy, but with the right approach and the commitment, and with a determination to find a solution, it's definitely doable. And I also have to say that yes, the issue of association/community will be also the issue which will be featuring quite prominently in these discussions. But again, where there is a will, there is a way.
Are you optimistic or confident that something can be achieved by the end of March?
Look, it's doable. It's sensitive. It's super sensitive. I understand that this goes really to the very bottom of issues of identity. I also am fully aware of the public debate. I see that the reaction from the opposition, both in Kosovo and in Serbia, is not helpful for the two leaders to make these important decisions. But they both know how important this proposal is for their relations, for the regional atmosphere, but also for the EU path. So I am optimistic to the extent that I know it is doable and I know it is good. And I really hope that no one or nothing will stand in the way between us and the success of this process.
Mr. Lajčák, how credible are the EU promises to Kosovo while still 5 member states remain as non-recognizers of Kosovo statehood 15 years since it's declared independence?
I have a bit of problem to accept the phrasing of this question. The only promise that EU has given to the Western Balkans is that they have the perspective of the future membership, which is not a small thing, because there are many countries who would like to have this perspective, but they don't. But the rest, of course, it's in the hands of the negotiations. It's a political life. Who would have expected that Sweden and Finland's NATO membership would be as challenging as it is? There are no one can guarantee anything, but you have the vision. This is very important, and it's your hard work that has to turn this vision into a reality. When I was part of my own country's EU accession process, we had no guarantees. We were nervous at many times when we were not mentioned, when we were not invited. You have to fight very hard, and you have to prove with your work that you belong there. It's the process where you want to join the club, and the club told you, yes, you are considered for membership, but you have to meet the criteria for the membership. You cannot blame the club. You really have to work very hard on that. And speaking about the EU 5, again, let's look at the facts. Kosovo has its legal contractual relationship with the European Union, which is called Stabilization and Association Agreement. And this agreement was accepted or endorsed by all EU member states. That means there is not a single member state that has questioned Kosovo's European membership. But as I said, the rest is hard work, and this is really important that we make progress on this.
Let's look beyond Serbia and Kosovo in the last minute that we still have for this interview. Presidential elections are kicking off in Montenegro. How important do you think this election is for Montenegro's EU path? Do you think it could get the country to a place where the necessary reforms can be implemented?
Well, I am not hiding that I am a bit worried about the recent dynamics in the Montenegrin internal development. There has not been much of progress on the European path in last 2 years, and these are facts. This is not an opinion. And country has been more dealing with itself rather than with its European agenda. We were until recently in the situation when Montenegro did not have a functioning constitutional court, which was really worrisome. But it's very important that 3 out of 4 judges were elected, so the constitutional court is functioning. The next step is the presidential elections, and yes, obviously it will be important that they happen in the free and fair manner. That will certainly give additional element of the clarity. And then the next issue, of course, will be to address the issue of political stability and the mandate of the government, which, as we know, lost the parliamentary majority in August last year and is in technical mandate. A number of important ministerial positions are vacant, and this does not send the best message for Montenegro's commitment to European path and European values. But let's look at it as a step-by-step process. So that means the constitutional court, presidential elections, and then I trust that Montenegro, as always in the past, will show that they have the democratic capacity to address their issues in a European way.
Another country who is expecting to de facto start the accession talks is North Macedonia, but it has still to change its constitution due to the Bulgarian veto, as you know. The veto has resulted in an increased numbers of EU skeptics among the Macedonian society, according to the latest survey. What are the next steps there? What are your concerns?
Yes, unfortunately, this is also an example that there are no guarantees, and Macedonia is the country that signed the Stabilization and Association Agreement with the European Union as the first of the Western Balkan six. And very few remember that Macedonia was granted candidate status on the same day as Croatia. And Croatia is going to celebrate 10 years of its membership. So I understand the frustration. I share lots of the concerns that North Macedonia leadership is communicating to us. The fact that, according to the recent public opinion, for the first time we have less than 50% of respondents who think that EU membership is a beneficial thing, and we have almost 30% people who believe that their country will never join the European Union. Clearly shows that we, as the EU, have not done the best job here, because we are losing trust of the citizens of North Macedonia. So right now we need to get over, and I say we because I see this as a joint endeavor, over what I see as the last hurdle. That means the amendment of the constitution of the North Macedonia, so that we can proceed with the second intergovernmental conference and with the real progress on the accession negotiations. North Macedonia belongs to the European Union. It's the country that has done so many good things and has responded positively to practically everything European Union asked North Macedonia to do. And I certainly want to see North Macedonia as a success story when it comes to the European integration in the Western Balkans.
Miroslav Lajčák, thank you for taking time to talk to us, to Balkans Debrief, this online interview series of Atlantic Council's Europe Center. Thank you for your time, and good luck with the challenging negotiations ahead of you.
Thank you very much, and once again, thank you very much for the invitation. All the best to you.
Thank you, and thank you also for watching us. You can join our conversation at AC Europe on Twitter, and also be part of it by writing to us. Thank you.